What is shaking, everybody? Voice a little tickly today, so bear with me. Hope everybody's having a nice Wednesday. It's blustery out there. I always like that word. Bluster reminded me of Winnie the Pooh for some reason. I'm not sure why. Just when I think of blustery, I think of Eeyore and Tigger. Love Tigger. He was a man. But be safe out there. I know Californians aren't necessarily noted for driving in the rain. So go slow, be careful. And if you find yourself a little uneasy because you're not driving in the rain stuff, why don't you get your fucking ass off the road? Go home, okay? You're clogging up everybody else. You're making everybody else's commute miserable. Another thing I wanted to ask, and this is something that is definitely generational. So you see, I wear a lot of beanies, bald. But the way I wear my beanies is different than the way a lot of the younger generation wears their beanies. They like the, over the ear look. Now, I'm not going to say they have the nipple on top. It's usually like rolled down. Let's see if I can get it the way they like to wear it. It's like this, and then it's above the ear. Kind of like that. I look pretty good. I got to be honest with you. No, I don't. You look like a longshoreman. It's like, I mean, what are you harvesting fish sticks? Like I this whole look to me, I don't get. But my son wears it this way. I think both my sons wear it this way. Their friends wear it this way, and I just no. I mean, look at this. I look like a tool. You kidding me? So I like to go. Well, not quite like that. That's over the eyes, but I'm a down below the ears guy. You get a beanie on. Cover your ears. It's cold outside. Not cold in here. Yes, I am wearing it as a fashion statement. No, I'm not. I just like wearing beanies. So I don't know if that's something. Maybe this look, the over the ear look, will come back at some point. But yeah, I don't get the above the ear look. But then again, I guess I'm not supposed to. It's not for me. And when you're younger, you don't want to do what the old man does. You don't want to do what the older people. That's boring. You just do something different, even if it's goofball. Do something different. All right, I want to check in on the NBA. We'll probably do this once a week and kind of look at the standings and where everybody's at. We're getting close to the end of the season. We're about 20 games, a little less than 20 games, 17, 18 games. And this is the I'm gonna need a telescope to see this. I'm gonna look over here, so just give me a break. I can't look over here because the light's in the way. And so and Lou's like, get out of my it's the Eastern Conference. I don't really need to look at it with the Eastern Conference. Eastern Conference, it's the Cavaliers and the Pistons. Pistons are playing well, though. It's Cavaliers and the Celtics. And then there's a break, and then it's the Knicks. And there's another break, and then it's kind of Bucks, Pacers, and then who cares after that? Although I do like the Pistons. The Pistons have been playing pretty good ball. Cade Cunningham is having an exceptional year, and they're doing this without Ivy, too. Ivy was probably their second best player, third best player, maybe. Duran's pretty good. Their center, I like him. I just like the way they play. They just came to Golden State, got a chance to watch them play a couple nights ago. Really good game. Golden State ended up winning the game, but real tight game. And then they went up, I think it was on a back-to-back, and then go up and beat Portland, who is actually better this year than I thought they were going to be. Probably a lot of people thought they were going to be. But it'll surprise me a little bit if it's not Cavs Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. I guess the Knicks could sneak in there. I do like their starting unit. I like the guys they have on the team. Bench isn't bad, but Jalen Brunson is a badass. Cat is, I think, a great number two. Like, he's an incredible number two. And then the rest of the role players they have are fantastic. So Cavaliers, 15-game winning streak. 2 15-game winning streaks. Can they get to 70? Probably not. Got to go 15-2. But you look at their win percentage right now, and it's up over 80%, like 83, 84%. So you figure they have 17 games left. I mean, if they play to where they're at right now, you're probably looking at 14-3, 15-2. So, yeah, I mean, they're going to be right around that 68, 69, 70 win total, I would think. And the Celtics, you don't even worry about like where they're at in the standings because they've already won a title. They know what it takes. I don't think they're all that concerned with having to go on the road in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, they are still the gold standard for NBA teams as to what NBA teams are trying to create. They're trying to create the pace and space and threes, not a lot of difficult decisions, just, pick and roll, space out, penetrate, kick, penetrate, kick, penetrate, kick. Okay. And they can all shoot threes. I mean, all those dudes are, I don't know, they have a great three-pointer among them. I'd have to look and see what Pritchard's three-point percentage is. He might be up around 40%. Hauser's a pretty good three-point shooter. But yeah, most of those guys are 35, 37%, right around there. They just out-volume you. They just fire up. They lead the league at close to 48 three-pointers a game. So they just get up as many threes as possible, hope to hit 16 to 20, and then let their defense take over. And that's really what separates them is their defense. I mean, they got guys that can guard multiple positions. Porzingis can stay with guys. Horford can stay with guys. Like, their big guys can get out on the perimeter and guard a little bit. So they're still the team to beat. But I love this Cavaliers team. Mitchell's a bona fide stud. He's your closer. You need a bucket, get in the ball. He can create for you. He can get to the line, get to the bucket. He could finish over guys. He could hit threes. I mean, he's not afraid to take big shots. And he's a guy that I thought in the past sometimes maybe forced it a little too much, but he doesn't have to now. Garland's a fantastic three-point shooter, and he's having a hell of a year. I love Mobley. Mobley's awesome, and I love Allen and them together. They're two bigs. They're athletic. They can run. They can defend the rim. Mobley can go a little more inside out. Allen's your traditional center. And then the DeAndre Hunter ad from Atlanta was just a great ad for them. Big, athletic, wing, get out, defend the perimeter. He's having a hell of a year too, over 40% from threes. So I missed it about a month and a half ago. I was thinking I should take them to win the title. They were 11-1 at the time. And the Celtics were like 2.5-1. The Thunder were 3.5-1. And I was thinking, why are these guys 11-1? It's absurd. These guys should not be 11-1. Well, they're not anymore. They're like 5.5-1. So I missed the boat on that one. I missed the boat on the Cavs. But I love the Cavs. Celtics, they're proven. Knicks, maybe still the Bucks. Oh, that loss last night. And Carlisle, I don't want to say used my play, but I thought about this 4 or 5 years ago. When you're inbounding the ball at half court, have like 4 guys run into the play to force the defense to move, and then get a couple of them to stop, and you come off the screens, and it just, to me, I always thought it'd be super hard to guard. And I've seen it a couple times now, but that was the first time I saw it end of the game. Halliburton goes from right to left, kind of works off the 3 moving players, catches it. Giannis gets the tap on and I don't know what Giannis was doing. I mean, he didn't challenge the shot. He just kind of touched him on the hip. Foul, 4-point play. Ugh. Like, when you're up 3 and you lose, not just, hey, we gave up a 3, they tied it. No, you lost the game in regulation. Eesh. So I don't know. I know Portis is missing, and he's a big part of their team. So Lopez had a really nice night last night as well. But maybe, but that 4-5 spot's going to have to take on the Cavaliers. So I still think it's Cavs Celtics. That's it. And I'd make that a coin flip. Maybe I give the Celtics a little bit of an edge, but Cleveland will have home court. So I'm looking forward to it. Like, I think the first round of the playoffs in the East, there's not a ton to get excited about, really. Bucks Pacers, if they end up playing each other, would be interesting. Although the Pistons are right there. Pistons are tied with them, so that might be interesting as well. All right, let's look at the Western Conference, because the Western Conference, it gets a lot more interesting in the Western Conference. Thunder running away with it. They're done. And I still don't know why people kind of question the Thunder. Young, I get it. Not a lot of experience. Okay. But look at that record. 53-12, a game behind the Cavaliers. And I don't know if they have a stat for this, but turnover differential. This is like a couple of weeks ago I checked. They're like +6, meaning they force 18, 19 turnovers a game and only turn it over like 12 and a half times, like 6.5. So they were like best at turning you over and one of the best at not being turned over. That's an incredible combo. Those are just extra shots you're getting. And I always tell people, you get 5 extra shots in a game, and even if you only shoot 40% on those shots, one of them's a 3, it's an extra 5 bonus points you just got because they're turning the ball over, you're not turning the ball over. So they got a bona fide superstar in Shea, and I dig that team. Double bigs, Hartenstein and Holmgren, and then just a bunch of athletic dudes that can get out on the wing and play defense. And they're not great 3-point shooters either. You know, they're probably, most of their guys are in the 34, 35%. All right, stop licking, Lou. That's enough. Lou always got to be active on the show, don't you? I know. It's not even close to 2, by the way. No, you're not getting fed yet. She always suckers me. And you know what else she does? I'll come down here and I'll feed her. And like 20 minutes later, Lori or Haley will say, "Oh, I already fed her." But she acts like she did, I mean, literally, she's like the De Niro of dogs. She's like, "You feeding me? You feeding me?" No, she'll jump around and act like it's like, oh God, I'm so hungry. I'm so happy you're here. This is incredible. And then she'll eat, and then they'll come down and say, "Oh, we fed her." And she just crushes the food. So I got to watch her. Got to keep her ladylike figure. Because you know dogs. You put it down, they're going to eat it. It's just the way it is. They don't care. They're like, fat? What are you talking about, fat? And fat? I'm hungry. Give me some food. So I got the Thunder out, and then it starts to get really interesting. You got the creamy nougats, Lakers, Grizzlies, Rockets. Warriors are just behind, 3 games behind the Rockets. They have the tiebreaker on the Rockets. They also have the tiebreaker on the T-Wolves, who are half a game behind them. Clippers lose to the Pelicans last night. So they drop a little bit. They're 2 games behind the Warriors. Clippers have the tiebreaker on the Warriors. Not sure Clippers T-Wolves. They're a game and a half behind the T-Wolves. And then Kings and Mavericks and Suns. And I actually thought this whole thing was going to be jammed together. But Phoenix, don't be fooled by the talent. Don't be fooled by the name value. They're just something that's not right there. King, Sabonis with the hamstring, I don't know. And with the sense of trade, they haven't been quite right. Dallas, forget it. I know there are only a couple games, but that ain't happening. So really where it starts is 8 and up. Now the Clippers need Powell back, obviously. He's like a massive key to that team. He's got a hell of a year for them. I mean, they went into New Orleans last night, lost to the Pelicans, and Kawhi played great. Harden played. I mean, Zubac I really like at center, but they really missed Powell. They missed that third scorer, that guy that can hit 40% of his threes. He's just really good. T-Wolves are starting to play a little bit better. It's funny because people are going to say this. You'll hear people say this. You don't want to play the Warriors. I'm like, no, you really don't want to play the Thunder. How come they always say you don't want to play the teams that are like 6 or below? It's like, you don't want to play them. No, you really don't want to play the teams above them. That's who you don't want to play because they're better. Obviously, they have a better record, but no one ever says that. It's like, oh, these guys are sneaky good. You know what I mean? Now, this is a team setting, though. Sneaky is a different connotation than players. So don't try to get that twisted. Look, now let me talk about this, too, for a second, because this is something I brought up with Steve Young yesterday. We're going to have on for you tomorrow. We'll play a couple clips when I'm talking to John coming up pretty soon. And I should mention this because I never mentioned this type of stuff. I just get on here and start talking. The whole like, subscribe thing, whatever. That's cool. If you want to do that, that's awesome. But I should mention the Bay Area Sports Collective, which we just started. It's myself, John Lund, and Polymac. And we're all going to be, you can go to the Bay Area Sports Collective.com and find out more information, talk about shows. Now, program director when I was at KMBR, Jeremiah Crow, is also a part of it. So it's a really cool thing. You can go there, check it out. We'll be doing some stuff together, some collaborations. They won't be as cool as beer collabs, of course, because beer collabs are the best. I love beer collaborations. I'm not sure what the hell they do. I think they just get over there and start drinking beer and go, I don't know, you want to throw in a little more Simcoe? Sure. Let's call it a collab. Fantastic. Get some of that Riwaka. Throw that in there too. Collab. Nice. So, but I wanted to talk about, because when I was talking to Steve yesterday, oh, you want to throw up that Bay Area Sports Collective thing? Yeah, go ahead and throw that up so people know where to go. And if you're not watching, you're just listening, it's Bay Area Sports Collective. It's BASC.com. It just kind of tells about, this. It's short, it's sweet. It's not an expansive website. I like we have a mission statement. The fuck's our mission? I don't know. We just show up and talk. It's our mission. It's our mission. If you like it, come on board. If not, I don't know. Go somewhere else. I know what to tell you. It's pretty simple stuff, right? And you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So I was talking to Steve about the Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson thing yesterday, how a quarterback, Josh Allen, could be the league MVP and not be first team all-pro quarterback. Like, it's impossible. There's no logical argument you could make for why that is, except for, as Steve said, and I've said, everybody gets a trophy. Here's a little bit for you. Have some juice. There's a juice box for you. We had a coach that gave out patches after the game. Not Patches O'Houlihan, but patches. And the kids love the patches. They got to the point where it's like, did you win? I don't know. But look at this badass patch I got. I was like, well, dude, I'm not going to come out here and watch it for 2 hours and like, you don't even care. Like, I care more than you do. And you got patches. God. I didn't even put them on anything. Remember when patches, you actually use patches for what they're meant for? Because your mom couldn't afford more jeans, so she just patched them up. And when you went to school and you got sweet patches. Patches were pretty sweet, though, because then you got to pick out your favorite sports patch. I could pick out a Rams helmet or like an Angels helmet or whatever. Like anything sports I was into when I was growing up. But the patches were sweet. You go shopping for patches and you'd come up with cool patches, and mom would sew it on the the ass end of your jeans or the knees or whatever. That was before, the whole ripped jeans thing was cool. I mean, you look like a hillbilly. Like, you get a hole in your jeans? I don't even know what that meant. But you just put a patch on it and you're good to go. Now they pre-rip them and then sell them to you. And I'm ashamed to admit that I bought a pair of those. That's just that is one of the most shameful things I've ever done. I didn't even earn my own ripped jeans. I let some kid in a big kid in like a third world country wear my jeans out. And then I just took them and bought them. I said, hey, way to put in the work, pal. I got you. It was like he was the fluffer. So I just said, give me my jeans. I'll take those jeans, and I'll pay top dollar for them too. That's just shameful. I mean, earn your own ripped jeans, okay? Don't follow my lead. I was a boob. Don't buy ripped jeans. If you have ripped jeans, you got to be the one getting down on your knees. You got to be the one crawling through the floor spaces, cleaning out the whatever you're cleaning. I don't know what the hell you're doing, but you should be the one that does it. All right? When you look down at your jeans and they're ripped, you should be able to say, you know what? I did that. I put in the work. I put in the sweat. Those are my ribs. Not some kid 4,000 miles away that, was, I don't know, running away from lions or something and, scrambling around and you got a lion ripping your jeans. Hey, I'll take those jeans now. Thank you very much. Here's $80. Don't be that guy. Don't do that. Anyway, back to the patches. So we're used to get patches and put them on the jeans, and we didn't have a lot of options, like all the cartoon options and stuff like that. Like, you can get probably some pretty cool patches today. Back then it was just sports. And like I said, anything sports I was into. Pencils, For those of you that are my age, you probably had those pencils. I used to get them the start of every season, every team. And we'd play with, we sometimes we'd play like, I don't know if you remember that game. Probably didn't in school where you'd hold your pencil up and you'd break it. And it was a stupid game. It's like, what would I do? What am I winning? I'm not even winning anything. Just, I beat you. I broke your pencil. So the risk was your pencil breaks and you win. You just go, I broke your pencil. And I didn't get anything for it. It was like, that's what we had, right? We didn't have cell phones. We had the triangle football and kick it through the uprights during detention. Get that thing going, get the pencils. So I had the patches, the pencils, the bed sheets, the shams. I don't even know if there was shams back then. A comforter, pillowcases, like anything. If it was NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, I had it. In fact, a couple things. Then what I'm going to try to do is behind me, you see the Tolbert jersey, the Niner helmet, Michael Myers. And then over there's an Angel hat, some beer hats. And over there's my little mini Arizona hat, which I'm hoping at some point is going to become a big Arizona hat. But what I want to recreate is what I had in my bedroom when I was younger, which was remember the mini baseball helmets? Not the big ones. And these things were sweet. Oh, I just remember these. These were the little ones. You ordered the little ones. But the mid-size helmets, you used to be able to go and get sundaes in those. And I forgot where we got sundaes. It was like a fast food chain, I think. I don't think it was 7-Eleven or AM/PM. But you got the helmets. And you get a sundae in it. And then you keep the helmet. And I had way too many sundaes that summer. I was like, oh, man, I don't even want a sundae. But, oh, look at that. It's the Cardinal helmet. I don't have the Cardinal helmet. And I got to go to 7-Eleven or wherever it is. I got to get the helmet. And then I would stack them up on the wall. But the little ones, I had these hat hangers. The ones that were like an accordion where you'd stretch them out and pull them back. And they had these little nubs on them. And I would keep standings of Major League Baseball that way. I'd have the helmets all lined up. And each day I'd go to them and kind of rearrange them and do that and do this and do that. I didn't have a football helmet. I don't remember. But they do have those little plastic football helmets too. And we could do that. So I'd like to do something like that. I'm going to recreate my 8-year-old bedroom in here is what I would like to do. Lori's super thrilled about that. Is that a turd? When did I hit that? During the turd alert? I must have hit it during the turd alert. Oh. So when I did this mic's can get a little funky. So if you touch it just the wrong way, then it's sleepy time. Everybody be quiet. We like Lou when she's sedate. You see the on-off switch she has on her head? Doesn't work. It does not work. It's stuck on. But that's my girl right there, aren't you? And then the other thing we want to bring in here is Ogden says he has one, the electric football game. We want to play that. We're going to do a show, and we're going to show the football game, and then we'll bet on it. We're going to bet on the football game, and I think that will be fun. I don't know. Maybe it won't. There are going to be some things we do. They're like, what are you guys doing? That's stupid. I mean, that's a possibility. That's a possibility. So John Lund is going to be coming on pretty soon, maybe about 15, 20 minutes, something like that. And we're just going to do a little cross talk, probably talk a little Niner free agency, get into that. I don't want to get to, I might get into that in a minute, but I do want to get to this. I would say this for people that are freaking out about all the Niners that are leaving. It seems like a lot. There are a couple, I think, that are more important than others. We'll get to that. But let's remember, this team was 6-11 last year, okay? Don't freak out too much. I mean, when players leave from an 11-6 team, then you might say, "Oof, man, that sucks. These guys were really good last year. We lost them. They were 6-11." Okay, so let's just wait and see. And I always say this too: let's grade this thing when it's over. It just started. We have no idea what this looks like. No idea what the draft looks like. Let's just wait until they have their team, put their team together before everybody starts freaking out. I know everybody loves freaking out. I don't. I just don't see the point of it, to be perfectly honest with you. All right, I want to show these hats. These are new era hats that they came out with, and they're ugly hats. Whoever designed these hats, I mean, what are you doing? What could you possibly be thinking? So as you can see, it says the name like Yankees, and then it'll have the Yankee logo right in the middle of the hat. Royals, KC in the middle of the hat. Athletics, the biggest. So it's the hat, and then it has the logo without all the. I just want you to notice. Let's go to the Astros first. Everybody's freaking out about this. That one says Ash Hose. First thing I thought of. Remember that little baby in Meet the Fockers? Ash Ho. Ash Ho. That's what it reminded me of. But it's just, I guess people are buying these now for way above way above market value. My Angels, the Anals. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I mean, when I think of the Angels, I do think Anals. That's kind of how bad they've been recently. Oh, I got a joke. I'm not even going to use it on YouTube. You know when I don't want to use. You know when I don't want to use one on YouTube. It's like, yeah. One, I'm not sure if it lands, and two, if it doesn't land, then it's like, bro, you got some issues. You probably should seek some help. But I mean, who designs that? Who designs any of these? Like, what does the Mariners one mean? Mossers, mates. It's just your S is covering up your letters, and it's just stupid, and it just. And then you get to Texas, Titas. Haha, that's funny. You know, boobies. Boobies. I'm gonna get some of those. Somebody said they got like $1,000 for one of those or something like that. What did they sell? Let me look at this story on the Athletic. Yeah, Rangers hat is generating big sales on the secondary market since Tuesday. 6 have sold on eBay, ranging from $200 to $1,000. Who's paying $1,000 for that hat? I mean, what kind of moron does that? I mean, does it think this is going to like, hey, 10 years from now, I'm going to be able to sell this for 10 grand? Look, I'm sorry. It's not the 1952 Mickey Mantle. Okay. This thing's not going to be worth mega bucks. And if it is, I'll apologize or I'll be dead by then. So I won't have to apologize. But is there one hat? Have you seen one hat that looks remotely appealing to you? Like, I got to have that hat. I mean, aside from the ones that are, you know who's buying those hats? Probably Pornhub. They're probably buying those hats. Oh, hey, Titas and Anal, and it's sweet. Ash Hose, fantastic. We'll get all those hats. But there's like not a hat on there I look at and say, yeah, I'd like to have that hat. Those hats are just ugly. There's not one that I would wear. Not one. Anals. They didn't spell anals right. I mean, it could. Anyway, if anybody has an extra couple $100 laying around, maybe you can get yourself a Titas hat. A Titas hat. I mean, I had to try to figure it out. Like, what do they even? Oh, okay. I get it. It took me a while to like even like it didn't even like hit me what they were talking about. But it's just again awful hats. I wouldn't buy them. I wouldn't buy them for the. You wouldn't to wear one of those. You'd have to pay me the $200. I'm certainly not paying the $200. And I just want to know. I wish we could have a photo of the dude that paid $1,000. Apparently $1,000 for the hat. Some guy said on our chat, some guy paid paid the money for his 3-year-old kid to wear it to the ball game. That would be pretty funny though. A little kid in an anals hat. That might be kind of interesting. I'm sorry. I'd laugh at that. I'd laugh at that if it was a little kid wearing his or her anal hat. I feel like we're getting dangerously close to something that's illegal. To be quite honest with you, so maybe we'll move to free agent, right turn to free agency here. Again, we're going to get into free agency with John Lund, who's part of the Bay Area Sports Collective, and he had a good breakdown last night. I didn't read it, but it looked like a good breakdown. No, I actually read a little bit of it. I didn't read all of it though, because it's long. I was like, I don't have time for this. I'm watching my show. I'm watching The Capture on Peacock. Pretty good. Kind of like that. I just got through the documentary on Netflix about the Australian girl who said she had brain cancer and then built like a mini empire, the cookbook and donations and all kinds of stuff. Didn't have brain cancer. Didn't have any cancer. So, boy, how low can you go as a human being? I know everybody's trying to, find a way to make money off social media. I mean, look what I'm doing. Although, if I'm being completely honest with you, this isn't just about money. I'd like to get paid a little bit for this, but I just like doing it. I like doing it. I've done it for 28 years, and this is what I do. And I'm not looking to become rich out of this. I just, I'd like to make enough money to keep the lights on and buy beer. That's what I'm looking at. Just beer, lights. I can skip a dinner, occasional dinner, but I think I'll be okay. But I just say I like doing it. So, but man, how desperate do you have to be? Brain cancer? Man, if there's hell, you will be there. There is no doubt you will be there. Oh, and then I watched did anybody watch the Manson doc? So I watched the Charlie Manson doc, and I was like, what else is there? It's Charlie Manson, who scared the hell out of me when I was little. My parents had the Helter Skelter paperback book. I couldn't even look at the back cover. Remember that back cover where Charles Manson's like, and I was like, oh my God, that guy could kill me. I didn't realize he was 5'2". I could have slapped that dude across the street. If it had been standing on one sidewalk, I could have knocked him over the sidewalk. He was like a midget. I don't even know if you can say that anymore. I'm not positive. I just did. Well, we were going through this yesterday because we had the mic that was sitting in front of Steve that was short. And I asked Daniel, I go, dude, would you go to the midget store to buy that? And I said, would you get half off? And I thought that was kind of cute. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't cute. I'm not positive, but I'm not even sure what you can say anymore. I think it's little people. I know dwarves is out. That one's out. Then we're done with that one. Okay, that one's been dead for a while now. So we don't use that. Not sure where the midget thing is. That still seems okay to me, but I don't know if I'm the one that's supposed to be saying since I'm 6'8". I don't know. Anyway, so I don't know where the hell I was, but I was talking about Manson and how little he was. So did you guys know that Charles Manson could sing? You did. Daniel said he did. Max said he didn't. I didn't. I was like, holy, this guy has a voice. This guy could actually sing. And apparently one of his songs, they changed the title on it, was on a Beach Boy album. Did you know he knew Dennis Wilson, Ogden? A Beach Boy?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, he did. Okay, so I didn't know this. These are like two things that I knew. Or I didn't know. I was like, what? Charles Manson knew Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys? I guess Dennis Wilson, shocking, picked up a couple of hitchhikers, females, asked them where they wanted to go, took them there. Next day, they were there again. So they took them over to his house, and those two happened to be part of Charlie's Girls, as they called them. So they had Charlie come over, and then Charlie started staying at Dennis Wilson's house. And then all the other Charlie girls came over, and it was just like this big party house. Like Dennis Wilson, Charles Manson, all the girls. And I was like, what? I didn't know this. Probably because I didn't read Helter Skelter. Because like I said, show that pic. That picture is terrifying. Terrifying. And you don't know how scared I was of that back when I was like 8, 9 years old. Literally, I couldn't go to sleep. I could not go to sleep. I was a little bit of a mama's boy. I was a little, I wasn't like, hey, you come in this house, you're out now. I was like, nah, not happening. Oh, here's a funny story for you. I hate telling this story because there's some things I did when I was little. I was like, God, what are you doing? Like, I would slap myself now. But my brother was born, my brother Jeff, who's 10 years younger than me. And I did the whole golden age of serial killer type deal, like back in Southern California, man. It seemed like a year wouldn't go by. We had another serial killer. It's like, another one? Were they growing these guys somewhere? Like, is there a farm? Serial killer farm? Like, another one? So I was like, my room was up front. My parents' room was in the back. I was up front and had the window. And I was like, man, what if somebody came in that window? They just come in here and grab me. I'm toast. Torture me. Kill me. Make me wear that anals hat. I don't know. So I had this idea that, right, they're not going to be able to take two of us. They're only going to be able to take one of us. So when my brother was like less than a year old, he had the back bedroom. He had a crib back there. So he was right across from my parents' room, and I was up front. I kind of felt isolated. Like, what's going to happen? They're going to come in the window. They're going to see me. They're going to take me, and I'm dead. I'm done. I'm toast. So what I did is in the middle of the night, so awful, I would go grab my brother, and I would lay him in bed with me. And the thought was they would just take him, and I would be cool. Because, he's smaller. He'd be easier to hold. And I'd be like, damn, sorry, Jeff, my bad. That's a tough break. And so I never really thought it through. I figured they'd probably take both of us anyway if they wanted to, but that was the plan. And Jeffrey, and this isn't good either. My bed was next to the wall, and I always slept between the wall and Jeffrey was on the outside because I figured if he was on the outside, it's easier just to grab someone on the outside than it is reach over someone. But I never really thought that through either because he's like, a year old, 10 months old. What if he just rolled off the bed and just bank? I didn't really think that one through. I was like, because it wasn't a big bed. So sorry, Jeff. Love you, pal. You're the best. Glad you're still here. I'm glad Manson didn't get you. I just thought for sure someone was coming. Right? It was either him or Richard Ramirez, and then Manson was in prison by then. But that was, still the book. You thought, oh, he's going to get out. This dude's going to get out of prison. And then seriously, as you get older, you're like, I was scared of that bitch. You kidding me? Come on. Come on. Get out of here. Manson, please. Not a chance. No way. And then Richard Ramirez with the pentagrams on his hand. That guy was. But hey, when you're younger, I had my dad cut me a piece of wood and stick it in the window, the bottom of it, so you couldn't slide it and the window wouldn't open. I felt much better after that. And then I let Jeffrey be. Jeffrey got to sleep in his crib and stay in his own room. So I was happy for that. Are we about ready for Lund? I don't know if anybody's interested in hearing more of my misdeeds when I was younger. Again, that's just not something that a 59-year-old Tom is real thrilled about. His 11-year-old self. Although I did used to sleepwalk. I don't know if anybody ever sleptwalk. I sleptwalk one time. I ended up 3/4 of the way down the street in my underwear, just running down the street. Literally running down the street, and then I woke up in my underwear in the middle of the street, and I had no idea how I got there. None. I did that like maybe 5 times, 4 or 5 times when I was younger. I had no idea. You wake up, and all of a sudden you're in this house, this huge house, right? And the dream was always the same. I'd look at the top of the stairs, and a shadow was waiting up there for me. And I would just freak out. and I would just run toward the front door and I'd just keep running. I mean, I was hauling ass too. And again, by the time it's like one of those things where you're like running, you're like, you're oh man, you like wake up and like, holy shit, I'm almost at the end of the block. And you just walk home. It's like 3 a.m. in the morning. And by the time you get home, like your dad or mom had heard you and they're just like, they're waking up. They're still got sleep in their eye. And they're just like, oh, what was that sound? Oh my God. You go and you look in the room, your son's gone. And then the door's open. And I think my dad was going, holy shit, Manson got him. So they'd go out there and they'd, by the time I got home, I was awake by that point because I was adrenalized. I was like, whoa, that was freaky. And they were still kind of like, what are you doing? My dad, what are you doing, boy? I'm like, well, how do I know? I was sleeping. I was sleep running down the street, getting away from a shadowy figure at the top of the staircase, which, by the way, we don't have. We don't have a staircase. So you tell me what happened. I don't know what happened. And that happened probably when I was in the teenage years. And no, I wasn't drinking. Okay. I know you're thinking, rough night, sucking down some of those Coors Lights, huh? Coors Lights wasn't even a thing back then. It was Coors, the banquet beer. Hell, I grew up in an era where my dad had to drive when we went back to Alabama to visit his parents. He had to drive 4 counties over to get beer because his county was a dry county. My grandparents' county was a dry county, and he drove like 4 counties, like 45 minutes to get Coors. That shows you how bad the beer selection was back then. And when you're jonesing for the banquet beer, and you're driving almost an hour for the banquet beer, the beer selection's slim. Thank goodness we don't have that problem. Those of us that love beer, we don't have those issues anymore. We got plenty of great breweries, like in just like within like 8 miles, maybe even closer than 8 miles. I can think of like I can go over Berkeley. I can hit Philwork. I can hit Wondrous. I can hit Tenma over in Emeryville. Then I can come back down this way. I can hit Santa Darius in Oakland. I'm still trying to convince Lester or Bear Bottle to get over here so I don't got to drive so far to get their beer. But then I can go to Cellar Maker over in Jack London Square. Then I can come over here to the Island. I can get Faction. I can get Humble Sea. Then Ghost Town Brewery just opened up in Oakland, which I want to go to. I haven't checked that one out yet. But Almanac's over there as well. It's insane. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Forget counties. I drive 6 miles and get all these beers. And so it cracks me up to think like 40, what was it? Probably 50 years ago at the time. You had to drive 4 counties over just to get Coors. And speaking of that, did we do? Real quick, are we getting Lund? Okay. I was going to tell this story real quick that when my dad was driving over there to get the beers, he used to drive on the freeway with me between his legs, and I would have my hands on the steering wheel. That shows you how much the times have changed, and no one even thought anything of it. I'm like, oh, I'm Smokey and the Bandit. Look at me. I got the wheel. Instead of Jesus take the wheel, it's Tommy take the wheel. I don't think he ever let me have it. I don't think he said, hey, take it. I got to go over here and grab something and do something. You take the wheel. You're 8. You can handle this car. No seat belts, no nothing. Just here. Sit in my lap. You can drive with me. Man, just wild. Some of the things that my parents did that nobody even thought twice about, which is why I always hate when people get mad at people for doing stuff 100 and 200 years ago and think they should have known better. Totally different. You can't judge everyone by today's standards. Everything changes. Because guess what? They're going to be judging you in about 100 years too. And things are going to change a lot between now and then. I believe we have hooked up with my former partner doing his own thing, John Lund Unleashed. He is also part of the Bay Area Sports Collective, and there he is. Man, works about 15 hours a day. What's up, buddy? Now you're writing and everything.
Dude,
and
trying to get this thing off the ground, man. It's crazy.
I mean,
crazy.
Take a breath.
I
Take a breath.
I know. By the way, what you were just talking about, So I also grew up.
Oh,
in
you got a
Southern-
Niner jersey too.
Yeah, but I didn't get a
Oh,
28.
I felt special. Why is yours 49?
Because I didn't last 28 years. And they're like, yeah, whatever, dude. You know?
Was it for your 49th birthday?
No, I'm not 49 yet. No.
Well, they
way
just
over
gave you a
49.
random number?
Yeah, they just said Lund 49. I was all excited because
okay.
it came on my birthday and everything, and I thought it was a big deal. And I saw yours, and they're like, yeah, Tom got one, I got one. Yeah, no big deal. They're like,
no,
oh, we
it's not a
really,
big, yeah.
yeah, they're like, we really appreciate you, all the work you did for us. And then I saw you had one. I'm like, yeah, wasn't that
Yeah, I
big a
know.
deal,
See,
actually.
I felt the same way.
Okay.
I felt
Yeah,
special until I looked over your right shoulder.
So you're just talking about this because you're just talking about the time where things have changed so much. So my dad, heavy beer drinker, and he used to drink beer on the road like we drink sodas. So he would take me on the road, same thing. So we didn't have any seatbelts or anything like that in our car, and we had a big station wagon. And he would throw me in the back, and not only just one beer. My dad would get like a small one of those old styrofoam coolers because you couldn't, it's all you had. It's not like you had these fancy coolers now. And for just like a trip to the grocery store or running errands on a Saturday, he would fill up a styrofoam. He's passed away now, so I can say this all I want. He would put a styrofoam cooler with about 6 or 8 Coors in it. There was no Coors Light back in those days, just the yellow can Coors. He put like 6 or 8 of those things on ice, and we'd just drive around and run errands, and I thought nothing of it. And he would suck down like 8 Coors while we were doing errands over a couple hours.
I mean, not ideal, but
he did. Like,
well, I mean, again, like
soda.
I said,
that's how it was like soda.
Everything's so different. Like I say, you can't judge people by the standards in which we live today. You just can't do it. It's not fair, and that was the whole thing during the whole, that month or 2 month or maybe a year period where everybody went woke bananas. Whereas like they're like, tearing down statues and doing this and doing that. I'm like, you realize that was like 300 years ago, right? Like what happened back then isn't right, but it's not. It's like, again, 100 years from now, we'll look back on our era and go, I can't believe we did that.
I know.
Like, I can't believe we did that because it just, everything changes. But yeah, I mean, seatbelts, I don't even think cars had seatbelts.
Dude.
I don't think they came with seatbelts.
No.
They weren't the law. They didn't put seatbelts in the car. Like, if you wanted a seatbelt, you better figure out a way to get a rope and tie it around your waist because they didn't come with seatbelts.
This is a true story. And again, you grew up in Southern California too. So you had to drive for so long of a period of time to get to anywhere. So we had one of those old Country Squire station wagons, the big station wagons. And that's the one my mom drove. And then my dad had like some kind of dumb, company car that was like a Lincoln, whatever. And so I would sit in the back and my mom couldn't reach back to us. And so I would sit, the way back, and they had those seats that would like pop up in the back and you sat way in the back. That's where I sat with my sister. And again, it wasn't like now where you can't open a door or anything if the car's going, like your car won't let you do that. My mom would be driving in the front, and then there'd be back seats, and then there'd be the way back seats, and you could pop those up, and me and my sister would be playing games. And I could roll the window all the way down, not with electrically, but roll it down, and I would hang out the back. Like we would be going down the freeway and we'd be getting bored, and I would hang out the back, and my mom would be screaming at me, "Get in the car!" It was like I'm hanging out the back of the car on the way back, and she's driving in the freeway, and you had kind of those pleather seats and all that kind. So I could have slipped right out of the back. I would open the door and look down at the freeway. Like she was just like, "What are you doing?" And my dad's drinking beers, and
maybe that's what they were hoping.
And like you said, there's not only was it like, where's the seatbelt? Why isn't your seatbelt on? There wasn't a seatbelt. Like in the front there was, so you had 2 seatbelts that no one wore. But then the whole rest of the station wagon, there wasn't any seatbelts. Like we climbed around like a bunch of monkeys. It was like whatever.
Here, I'm gonna try something. I want to see how this works. So the next time you're talking, I want to do like a Brady Bunch thing. I'm gonna look down like this. Does it look like I'm looking at you? Like while you're talking? No?
No. Uh-uh.
Where's your head? Am I looking? Okay. How's that?
No.
You can talk now, and I'll look like, and I can go like this, like you're there. It's like the Brady Bunch type damn.
Oh, that's
do one of these. Yeah.
You can put like 10.
See, I'm looking at you right now.
I know. I got to look at the camera.
Yeah.
But we need one of those things where you have like 10 people in the room, like the Brady Bunch. Maybe Alice, things like that. Be nice.
Yeah.
What
That's one
shirt
of
you
those things
rock?
that didn't
What
work out.
shirt are you rocking today? What is that?
That didn't work out as well as I thought it was going to work out. I thought it would be funnier, but it wasn't. Some things.
Because one of the
STS
things that
Bills.
used to be cool is I never knew what shirt you were going to wear coming into the studio. Like sometimes you'd have Devo, or sometimes you'd have some beer, or sometimes you I didn't it was part of the fun, like figuring out what you're going to be
Really,
wearing.
that was part of the fun. Your
Well,
fucking
yeah, I
days
mean,
are boring.
What's
Tom wearing today?
well, shorts. We knew it was shorts. If it was going to be cold,
Shorts
you'd
are
wear a hat.
given.
Like it must be cold in your house because that was the extent of your you didn't really have a jacket.
Yeah.
You had a sweater.
No, I don't wear jackets.
You had the dude sweater, and then if it was cold, you'd wear a hat like you have on today, but never shorts.
I love the beanies. Now this is a Russian River STS
Oh,
pills.
nice.
Yeah, I got great
Nice.
pills. You still got that picture up there? Throw this picture up there for John. Just give me the first thing that comes to your mind when you see this picture.
What?
Na, 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 na.
Damn, man. The first thing that comes to mind on that one?
Yeah.
That scares the hell out of me is what it does.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said.
I mean, that
I
is just
said
like
a young Tommy Tolbert was it's petrified.
dude,
by
that is like
picture.
yeah, but
I was like,
people would wear that T-shirt around. It was like I was like, whoa,
Charlie Don't Surf.
yeah, Manson. Oh,
the
that's
Clash
right.
song.
Yeah, I
Charlie
remember that.
Don't Surf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got
But yeah, I mean,
1968.
that was on the back of Helter Skelter, I believe.
That's
the
right.
book.
You're right.
And I used to have my mom like I'd hide that book. And I think my mom was reading it. She'd be like, "Where'd the book go?" I don't know. I put it behind the pillows.
Like you wouldn't even have to,
don't bring that thing out.
you wouldn't even have to have a trial. Like all you have to do is like the lawyer, if you're the prosecuting
Bro, he put a
attorney.
swastika on his forehead. Guilty. I mean, Jesus.
That's
we
what
need
I'm saying,
a trial at that point.
If you're the
Like, I'm
defense
sorry.
attorney,
You put a swastika on your forehead. Guilty. That's it. We're just, we're
Bro.
done. You're going to prison.
all
And you're going to go there for the rest of your life. You just carve a swastika in your between your eyebrows. Like I do. Do we need a jury? Do we need a judge? We don't need anything. Like seriously, that's where you just say, "All right, you're batshit crazy. You're going to prison." Period.
Right. You're the prosecuting attorney. All you have to do is show that and say, "Is there any question?" Like the defense attorney is like, "Damn it." God. And it's like, I mean, that's the most
He's like, "That's not a
menacing.
great look."
No, that's one of the most menacing mug shots of all time. Like he's like, yeah. It's like
Yeah, he was
whoa,
5'2".
It's over. He was not. Was Manson 5'2"?
5'2".
Is that true?
You could kick his ass. Yeah.
What was that supposed to mean? What do you mean I could kick his ass? I could kick a lot of people's ass.
I
have
know.
no idea.
Well, there's a lot of people out there that are smaller than Manson. So, but you used to think he was so intimidating when he was like, you're right. He was just like, oh my God, that picture.
Yeah,
And
how did he convince all those people if he was 5'2"? Like, this is what we're gonna do, and it's like,
so that
you're
was
5'2". Like, how am I?
Did you watch
no.
the new doc on Netflix?
Yes, we did.
Okay, so that was then you
Yeah.
should know.
I
Why
know.
am
I know.
Were
but
you awake when you were watching
Yeah.
it? I mean,
Yeah, I
what were
was,
you
but it's.
doing
But
with
I'm just still like he's fine. Like
the whole
normally,
show?
if someone's gonna intimidate you, I mean, yeah, okay, mentally he was, nutty, but
Well, most of them were
still.
girls.
yeah, right.
There was only a couple guys there,
Mhm.
but this guy was trying to make some wild connection. The CIA was trying to experiment with mind control, like LSD, trying to get people to do stuff without them knowing they're doing it or remembering they're doing it, kind of like the Manchurian Candidate. So he was trying to connect that doctor with Manson, who Manson was in the Haight-Ashbury for a couple years. And I think he did. They were in close proximity, but the guy was never able to say that Manson was in his office and he visited him. So that was kind of his premise, that he learned this mind control from that doctor and those experimental things. And that's how he was able to control. I just think the guy was charismatic.
Right.
Those women didn't have a lot of places to be. And it was it was the summer of love, weekend of love, whatever the hell. There's a lot of love going around back then, and drugs too. And they just all stayed together. They all stayed together, and they liked him. And I don't know, but man, when you get because the girls, God, who was it? Atkins, and I can't remember the other girls' names, but they had crosses in their forehead too when they went to trial. I don't know if they went full swastika, because Manson, I think, graduated to that. I think he went cross,
right,
and then turned the cross into a swastika, which is like, again, you don't need I mean, I don't need a jury at that point. Like, bro, you're guilty.
When he comes walking in like that, you're like, come on. It was a great. I mean, even though it wasn't accurate, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, when they kind of did a remake of that, a little bit of that, the Brad Pitt scene at the end, that was incredible. When he was on
that was a good movie. Not one of my favorite Tarantino movies, but
no, I just love the end of it.
Tarantino movies.
Oh, I mean, one of my favorite of all time. Now, why am I? I can't remember, but one of my favorite movies of all time is why am I forgetting it? You know, Samuel L. Jackson, Travolta.
You really liked it, all that? Liked it, huh?
I'm blanking on it.
Pulp Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. That's probably a top 2 or 3 of my whole
Lord.
life. I love that movie.
You drinking already?
No, but it's one of those movies where I'll never not watch it. So if I'm flipping channels and I see it, I'll watch it. And there are certain scenes in there, like the end of it when they're in the diner at the end. It's amazing. It's just an amazing scene. You know, or the cleaner.
Yeah, I like. I'm a hate. I don't know if it was one of his best, but I'm a Hateful Eight guy. I did enjoy.
That's good.
Hateful Eight with the Dahmer Goo. I always like that name. And Reservoir Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs is amazing.
That was a great one. He has so many though. Although I wasn't. I got to watch the Kill Bills again. Those are the ones that I didn't.
First one's good.
Second one with me.
Yeah, second one didn't do a lot for me. The first one I thought was really good, but yeah, Pulp Fiction. I keep looking back. I mean, it's all the scenes like Eric Stoltz when Travolta ends up on his front lawn, and then it's like, are you talking to me on a cellular telephone? Like, it's amazing that he ends up and he's got the junkie wife. Is that the girl?
I loved it when he had to stab him.
Yeah,
he's like, you got to stab. He goes, I got to stab her 3 times. No, you don't got to fucking stab her 3 times. You just got to be hard enough to get to the breath plate.
That's an amazing
hilarious.
Scene. Oh, that's an amazing scene.
It was. Although my favorite line of the whole movie is when Travolta takes a swig of the shake.
Yeah,
and the look he had on his face. He was high at the time too. And he just looks at Uma Thurman. He says, he's like,
$5 shake, no booze.
It's a pretty fucking good milkshake.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's worth $5, but it's pretty fucking good.
But see, that's what I'm saying. Is like
dying. That was killing me.
I base a movie on like that play. That movie was all over the place, and you even forget at times that Bruce Willis was in it, and like Ving Rhames is in it, and it's like, you know, I mean that the basement scene is amazing in that, you know, where he lets Bruce Willis go, and then he's like, okay. And the hillbilly and the gimp.
Yeah,
that
scene was amazing. That was a rough scene to watch. That's a rough scene to watch.
That's an amazing
look on that guy's
scene,
face,
man.
The bearded guy's face,
yeah.
all kind of beat up with sweat.
Well, yeah, and he's got you got the sword, and I mean that whole thing was just.
Don't forget the gimp.
Yeah, exactly.
Get the gimp.
We'll go wake
Gimp's
him
sleeping.
up.
We'll wake him up then.
Exactly. That's amazing.
Gimp. Willis gave him the
that's an amazing one, man. I love.
I know you want you probably because you.
What the hell's Lou doing? What's Lou doing? Like, is this a regular? Like, she's got to get your attention. And there's no way.
Lou do what Lou do.
No, I like this. I think I need
whatever Lou do. That's what she. I mean, I can't stop her
because my dog's too big. My dog can't do that. My dog. Although right now, if I brought my dog in here, he would jump over me and start bark. I've never had a dog like this. He barks at the TV at any type of animal, and goes bonkers. Any type of animal. He's 3. Like right now, if I had him in here, he would see Lou and just he'd bowl me over and start losing his mind. Just goes.
What kind of dog is he?
He's a Bernedoodle, so he's a Bernese mountain dog, and he doesn't look like a poodle, but yeah, he's crazy. And so it could be anything from a horse, dog, cat, tiger. Like he goes bananas. Like he thinks he's helping us, and then he gets done jumping on the TV, knocking down pictures, and then walks over to me like, "Did I do good? Did I do good? Did I save the household?" And it's like, yeah, you're just, you know, because if someone broke in our house, he would like lick him to death. Like it's not, you know, for like 1 second he acts like he's a badass, and then it's like, dude, like go away, stop doing that. Pissing
Let me check Lou. It's 1, not even 2. Because at 2:00, this is what she does.
Oh, she knows it already.
Tuesday. Oh, she knows. You have the clock.
She knows, like, okay, so I give
in
you
her
an
head.
hour. I give you a little time to do your show.
No,
and then
she
that's
wants she wants it right now. She's
Oh.
like she's very needy. What'd you make? I know you wrote about it. You talked about it a lot
Yeah.
yesterday. Just your thoughts on free agency and
Bro, I guess it just comes down to they decided that they're going to do a financial reset. I don't know so much if I'm going to call it a rebuild, because here's the thing. If it was a rebuild, like, people have said, oh, Kyle's going to get fired or this or that. Well, Kyle would ask to leave. John Lynch would be back in the radio booth, right? Because it's a lot easier to broadcast than it is to be a GM 24/7. He could just go back down to San Diego. Both you and I know what that's about. Like, go down and hang out. Like, go hang out at the beach. If they were going to do that, then those guys would already be gone. I think that they're saying, and I think that Dre Greenlaw was really the one, is if this is a year ago, Dre Greenlaw stays, because they looked at Ernest Jones signing and these linebackers and they go, okay, well, we didn't want to pay this, but we'll pay it. But I think when we saw that and it's like, he's going to go to Denver for 3 and 35, then it's like, it's on. The only thing I would caution against, because everybody, how this works, everybody freaks out and everybody's got these shows and everything. I'm seeing a lot of guys leave, but I'm not seeing a lot of quality leave. So, like, Ward leaves. He wasn't very good. We knew it because of the off field. Hufanga hasn't been good since 22. Mitchell hasn't been good since 21. Who's given Aaron Banks 4 and 77? Who's given Jalen Moore 2 and 30? Like, I get it. A lot of guys left out of the building.
Dude, come on. Stop. I'm getting mauled over here. Call the cops. Lou.
This is aggressive. This is aggressive as she's been. Seriously.
Seriously, you're going to have to go out. That's enough. God damn it. Okay, you're going to go out for a minute, okay?
Seriously, she looks like a human heart-on right now.
Golly. I mean, So I heard you talking, and then you kind of went Niners.
Yeah, no, all right.
And...
Yeah, I know. I got you.
No, I got the gist. I got the gist.
No, but here's my question to you. How would you term what they're doing? I'm calling it a financial reset. I don't think it's a rebuild. I don't think the Niners rebuild, but I think what happens is, because I popped this up this morning, and I know you know this, they're paying guys like $80 million who aren't going to be on the team, and then that's without Hargrave, and that's without Leonard Floyd, and that's also, there's another one, Malik Collins. So they're going to be upwards of about $100 million of paying guys who won't play for the team. And so essentially what they're doing is, look, we're going to take a hit this year. That's just what we're going to do. And look, I think they would trade Trent Williams if they could, but he's got like a $50 million cap hit. I don't think they trade Bosa, but I think they'd trade more if they could, but I don't think they can. Ayuk would hit him another 18 if he got traded. So I think they're going to take a $100 million bath cap hit this year, and they're going to try to reset next year. And look, the whole thing is, look at the Rams 2 years ago. They won the Super Bowl. It looked like they were going in the wrong direction, and they nailed like 2 drafts in the row where they went, Kyron Williams and Puka Nacua and those guys on the defensive line. And
Jared Verse.
Right. And then all of a sudden you look up and the Rams are back in it. So bottom line to the whole thing is, they have to draft, develop, re-sign all over again like they did the first time. And the question is, can they find the Warners, the Kittles, the Mustafas, the Purdy's, the Jennings? Can they do that all again? Because that's what Jed York is telling them. We're done with all this overpay crap. We're going to take a hit 1 year, and then we're going to go back to the draft, and you guys are going to have to be able to do this all over again. So, what would you call it?
Well, I look at it a little differently than you. I don't think they're looking at this year as taking a hit. I think, and I mentioned this. Let's realize these guys were 6-11 last year. All right, that's not like the team was 12-5 or 11-6, and they're getting rid of a bunch of really good players. Malik Collins was okay. Leonard Floyd, okay. Hargrave didn't play, but when he did, he was okay. He wasn't good against the run. He was okay against the pass. These stats aren't perfect, but last year they were 17th in yards per carry against, and they were 18th in sack percentage. And again, I was trying to look at pressure percentage because that's the one I really wanted to see. But a defensive line used to be the backbone, used to be the identity of this football team, and it hasn't been now in a couple years. So, look, the ones I think they're going to miss the most are Debo and Greenlaw, because those guys brought the thump, they brought the physicality, they brought that mentality, and I think they're going to lose some of that. They still have Kittle, who I always thought those three were the guys that just really kind of brought that intensity to the field. But Debo, look, his production had fallen off. Greenlaw's been injured. So if he's not injured, they're going to miss him if he stays healthy. So those are the two. Hufanga, I think they can replace that. Mustafa had a really, really nice year for him. Moore, to me, was a kind of a swing guy. And then Banks, I couldn't believe how much money he got. I was like, holy cow, somebody paid that much money? It wasn't like it was bad. He was fine. Like, you'd like to have him start for you, but not for that price. So the way I look at it is they still have Purdy, who I think, to me, is a top 10 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
They have McCaffrey, they have Kittle, they have Bosa, they have Lenore, they have Warner. I mean, they have some really good players on this team, and now you just got to find the right guys to go with those players. Like they found out like everybody finds out. The more you win, the more good players you have. Those go hand in hand, and the more good players you have, the more you're going to have to pay everybody, and you can't pay everybody. You got to start making decisions on who you want to pay. So Bosa is still one of the top DNs in the game. Warner, one of the top linebackers in the game. McCaffrey, one of the top running backs in the game. Kittle, one of the top tight ends in the game. It's hard for me to like grade corners, so I don't know. I know Lenore had a really good year last year, and if they could find another corner, I think they'll be set there. But yeah, now it's time to like, okay, let's draft and put some young guys around those studs and try to figure this out. So I still think they're in pretty good position because last year I thought I looked and they had like the number one strength of schedule in the league. I think this year it's like 30 with 30. They have one
playoff team coming in, and if you have season tickets, it sucks because they'll probably, even as bad as they are, win most of their games. So that's a good thing. But there's no good teams coming in. The major problem that they have right now is that they have nobody. Literally, they might call you because they have nobody on the defensive line who can play at all. And in the front seven, generally they don't. But just as far as the free agents that they lost, Hufanga's already replaced by Mustafa. Juszczyk's already replaced by Luke Farrell. Renardo Green is going to be the corner. And I feel bad for Ward because his PFF grade was like 56. I mean, he was awful last year. If you're losing 2023 Ward, that's a big deal. 2024 Ward wasn't good. So for the majority of these guys that are leaving, they're already replaced. The only guy who's not replaced, and it's a big issue, is Greenlaw, because I mean they're talking about guys like Curtis Robinson or D Winters. Like they're going to have to take a linebacker, and what they're going to do on the line, I think that they're going to draft the right tackle, who's the future at left tackle, and then they're going to move McKivitz to left guard, who a lot of people down there think is the best. He's better as a guard, and he'll replace Banks. And you can find a swing tackle in your sleep, so Moore's not a big deal. And so I'm not saying that it's ideal. But what I'm saying is they kind of have set it up to where they're going to be able to replace everybody that they've lost except for Greenlaw. And I like Juszczyk, but people don't realize he has 10 carries the last 2 years. He has 19 catches the last 2 years. And he's not it's 3rd and 1 and you send Juszczyk into the hole. He's not going to burrow out a linebacker. That's just not what he does. His best attribute is he's really good in the locker room and he's best friends with George Kittle. They can't afford that anymore, man. That's how it is.
No, I agree with you. And look, the defensive line is extremely thin, extremely thin. But, again, my point was it wasn't very good last year.
Right.
I mean, it's just basically middle of the pack, which isn't getting you to a Super Bowl. It's just not. So it wouldn't surprise me if they take like 2 or 3 defensive linemen in the draft this year. I don't know if they're going to take an offensive lineman. I would think they would, but I don't know if Kyle feels like, hey, I can handle just give me some players that I like and the size that I like, and I can make this thing work. Steve Young said it yesterday. And for those that are wondering, the show will air tomorrow. I'm not sure what time we're doing it at noon.
His yard is have you ever been over to his house?
Dude, it's like Hawaii.
Dude, I saw the pictures of it. I was like, are you kidding? Like, that was awesome.
I finally realized why he doesn't take his Christmas lights off that tree, because it's like 50 feet in the air. And I now know where they filmed the Corona commercial at Christmas time.
Because
that's like literally the Corona tree. It's like that massive palm tree that they have in their yard, which is incredible.
Does he keep those lights up forever? So he just turns them off and he keeps them up there 12 months a year?
Yep. He said the only time they'll go up there and take them down or change them is when they go out. Like if a light bulb goes out or something like that, they'll have somebody get up there and take the lights down.
Who the hell
and
climbs that tree like a monkey? I mean, who
Well,
actually?
he said they have a
goes up
ladder.
there?
Ladder takes them halfway up, and then they got those, those shoes, those like ice when you climb the side of a glacier. You get those.
No way.
Yeah, just stick it into the tree and climb up. I mean, I'm
Oh,
sure they're roped
dude.
up. I would hope.
Oh, you
they
got to
are.
film that. That would be amazing
So-
if you had done that. If you'd gotten the ladder and then had somebody go with those shoes up the tree and recorded that. That'd
Yeah,
be
no, the
amazing.
yard was awesome. It was like so serene. I was like, oh, this is beautiful. So
Dude,
yeah, it was really, really cool catching up with him.
you're airing that tomorrow.
Yeah, we're gonna air that tomorrow. We're gonna talk. We talk Niners, and then we talk toward the end. The last like 15 minutes was just us talking about growing up, most embarrassing moments, when he got in trouble as a kid, when he did get in trouble, what the punishment was, how his dad punished the kid, stuff like that. And then he had some really hilarious stories. So and then we talk about Purdy and all the Niners and what he sees for the Niners this upcoming year. And yeah, I mean, his kind of part of it is, Kyle not necessarily reinventing himself, but what's the next evolution of the offense that, him and, I'm in the middle of reading Mike Silver's book, which is really good.
Yeah.
Him and McVay and McDaniels and Saleh and Fleury, not Fleury, but is it coach? Is it Fleury? No, I'm messing up his
which
name.
Coach? Which one?
Green
Which
Bay.
coach? Oh,
Green Bay.
LaFleur.
I knew Fleury wasn't right. I was like, Fleury wasn't right.
That's a hockey player.
Theo Fleury. I'm going hockey. Yes, absolutely it was.
Or that's a dairy treat.
Yeah, McFlurry.
McFlurry.
And that's
Yeah,
McDonald's. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they're all bad.
Wrong one. Yeah,
So no,
LaFleur.
it's like, okay, what's it like? Everybody's like, a lot of that stuff people have seen now.
Yeah.
So what's the next evolution of it? And maybe a lot of it is not as much fullback. Maybe it's a little bit different. I don't know.
Well,
And when I was mentioning all those
the dude's going to be a move tight end that they got from Jacksonville. He's like the number 2 rated tight end blocker in the NFL. So it's obvious what he's going to do. He had 12 catches last year. He's going to go in the hole on, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, where the Niners have sucked over the last couple of years. And he's going to blast the linebacker and they're going to get the 2 yards they need, which Juszczyk couldn't do.
Yeah.
So that's the deal. By the way, Steve told everybody, when he was on Eisen a couple of weeks ago, this Steve Young guy, he's a little bit dialed in. Like he told Rich Eisen 2 weeks ago this was going to happen. He went on their show and said, it's going to be different. This is what's going to happen. Nobody listened and it happened and everyone acts like they're shocked. Steve told Rich Eisen this like 2 weeks ago that this exact scenario was going to happen. So he kind of knows what he's talking about.
He's a little plugged in. He knows what he's talking about. So look, I didn't even mention, all the best players that they're keeping, but Ayuk will be back at some point too. Right. I don't know if he's going to be pre-injury Ayuk at all next year. That's debatable, but I mean, you still have a really, really, and it's going to be interesting to see if there's going to be a market correction for receivers coming up at some point. Because boy, the receivers just.
Well, don't you think it already happened? Don't you think?
Well, we're going to see what Jamar Chase, what he gets.
That's a good point. Guys like that'll get paid. But I think what happened was everybody, I don't know if they were drunk or what happened, maybe. But in 2024, they're like, oh my God, we got to pay all these guys. And then this year they went, oh my God, I watched the Super Bowl and it wasn't the guys on the outside who won. It was the guys on the inside who won. And everybody now is like trade DK, like Seattle's trading DK, releasing Lockett. Cooper Kupp got released today. Like all these different guys that CeeDee Lamb's deal's already been restructured. Like all of a sudden, all these people went, wait a minute, wide receivers come into the league every single year. These aren't quarterbacks. Like I have no idea why last year everybody started playing like it was a bunch of sheep. Like they signed that guy. We got to sign our guy. It's like, what are you doing? Like receivers aren't worth $30 million a year. Who does that? Like it was stupid. And now all of a sudden everybody's trying to get out of these deals so that they can reinvest on the in the trenches because they realized that wasn't going to win them games. And so I don't know.
No, that to me is always. I mean, me and my buddy have talked about the first round of the NFL draft should be exclusively for offensive and defensive linemen. Just take the biggest, best guys you can get, and then move from there.
Right.
But every year, just keep solidifying your offensive line, keep solidifying your defensive line, and I'm not sure how many of the I'd have to look at Philly's offensive line. I don't know that they have any first rounders, but they may have
Lane
one, but I'm
Johnson.
not positive.
Lane Johnson's
Was he a
the
first
only-
rounder?
Yeah, Lane Johnson was a 1. Landon, let's see, the left guard from Bama, he's a 2nd. Juergens, their center, is a 2nd. What else you got? Mailata, their left tackle, is a 7th rounder, and Landon Donovan, not Landon Donovan, he's a soccer player, but let's see, I'm trying to think who else. Who's there? Oh, and Becton used to be a first rounder, but he got picked up from the Jets, so he was a free agent. So Lane Johnson, but that's back in 2013.
So I mean, but you mentioned 2 twos. I mean, that's kind of the point, right? Use your high picks but look at their defensive line. It's like first round, round, second round. I mean, basically they imported the whole Georgia defensive line into their front.
Yeah.
And just go, okay, let's get Smith. Let's get who are the 2 big boys in the middle that they drafted in back-to-back years. I can't think of their names
Jordan
right now.
Davis and Jalen Carter back.
Both Georgia guys.
Rounders.
So yeah, I mean, that,
by the way, Landon
to me,
Dickerson's the guy. Yeah, not Landon.
That to me is where it's at. And that's where the Niners had it right. And that's where they've fallen off in recent years, where the defensive line, and I don't know if y'all will get back to this, but when they had Bosa, Buckner, Armstead, and then Ford for, some of the season. But even at that point, you're like, okay, if we have those 3, we're great. Yeah. We're going to be great. But they haven't, and it's gone down a little since then. They've tried to recreate it. It's tough because they're expensive, and it's hard to find big skilled players. It just is, right? You can find smaller skilled players a lot easier than big, which is why we said draft offensive line and defensive line. Receivers you can find. I mean, there are some that are better than others, clearly, but you can find receivers. You can find running backs. You can find linemen. Why? Because they're just not as big.
Right.
And you watch guys on the offensive line that aren't very good. You're like, oh, he can't bend. He can't slide. He can't move. It's just, and he's starting. Why? Because there's not a lot of those guys available. They don't just like, hey, there's another one that's great. There's another one that's great. Wow, look at all these guys. It doesn't work that way. So I'm hoping, like, if the Niners were to use their first 2 picks on defensive line, I'd be like, cool. Get a defensive tackle, defensive end, and hell, load up another one later on in the draft if you want to, and try to get yourself back to what you were, which is, this is the identity of our football team. We're a badass fucking team up front. We're coming to get you. And every time you drop back, you're going to feel us. And that's what it was in 19. They felt the Niners just about every single snap. Bosa was there. Buckner was pushing the middle. Armstead was there. Ford coming around the outside. Like, that was their team. I mean, it's so, and I mentioned the stat earlier, 17th yards per carry against, 18th in sack percentage. Like, they just haven't had that dominance. And we know because the Niners under Lynch and Shanahan have used a lot of their equity on the defensive line. It hasn't hit lately, and they gotta figure out a way to get back to that. Because to me, that's the quickest way to win. Yeah. Look what the Eagles did to the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That defensive line absolutely dominated, and to me, that's where it starts. Like, that's the most important, quarterback aside, that's the most important position group on a football team. It's defensive line, and then maybe after that, offensive line. They're pretty close, but if you have a badass defensive line, boy, you can cover up a lot of stuff on your football team.
Well, if there was one player, and I know it's more than this, and I'm oversimplifying it, but if there's one player who typifies why they are where they are right now, so you go back to the Buckner trade. Buckner trade doesn't work out because you're so focused on getting a defensive lineman to take Kinlaw. He stinks. Then on the first day of free agency 2 years ago, just shockingly, you give $80 million to Hargrave because you think, okay, he's going to fix everything. He doesn't. And so now he's hurt, he's ineffective, and he's going to cost you $8 million on this year's cap, and he's going to cost you $18 million on next year's cap. So Hargrave, because you decided that you wouldn't pay Buckner $23 million, you draft Kinlaw, who stinks. You try to correct that with Hargrave, who stinks, and now you owe him $8 million on the cap this year and $17 on the cap next year. And Hargrave all of a sudden becomes one of the worst signings in the history of the franchise because now you still haven't fixed that problem, and it's all because you wouldn't sign Buckner to the deal. And so I'm not saying, it's all Hargrave's fault, but here he goes off to Minnesota to make a bunch more money, and he just never fit. And you watch the NFC Championship game, and he's crushing the Niners, and you're thinking, we got to have that guy. And that's what Jed is trying to get out from under, which is we have these emotional things. And this story's been told by John Lynch. Lynch basically said he walked into Jed's office after that season and said, "Please, will you give me $80 million, sir?" And it's like they give him the money. And then it's like it blows up in his face, and Jed's like, "The hell with that, man! I'm not doing that anymore." And they still haven't fixed defensive tackle.
Yeah, I believe we have a clip here that we wanted to play for you. Get your thoughts on this. This is from the lush tropical backyards of backyard.
Look at that, dude.
You should have
worn. You should, if you'd have known it was like that kind of a backyard, you could have worn like an Indiana Jones outfit or something. Like that would have been amazing. Look at that.
Could have wore a luau shirt. I don't know. Look, we can just listen to it because I'm not sure exactly what the clip is going to be about, but we're about to find out. And really, more than anything, I just want to get my goofy ass pose off the screen. Go ahead and play it.
All right, let's get to a little
playing Twister?
Niners talk. And last year was just a mess from the get-go, right? It was like the IU contract and McCaffrey contract, McCaffrey injury, Trent Williams once more. I mean, just everything that could go wrong did go wrong. In fact, I think they had so many injuries at one point during camp, they couldn't even do the head-to-head practices against the I think it was going to be the Rams or maybe Vikings it was going to be. But it's just like everything was wrong going into the season, and then it just continued that way. It was just a mess of a year. But I actually think that was a good thing for them. I think they were mentally, spiritually, physically exhausted from all the runs they made. And I think that'll benefit them this year, unless they keep losing. Unless they keep losing players.
I don't know, Tom. I don't think there's a way through this that you can kind of concoct that isn't a sea change from where they were. Where they were was the best roster in football.
Yep.
Prepared to go take the Super Bowl. And they retooled a little bit each year. I agree with you. There's an emotional toll and all that. I'm okay, fine. But last year in the offseason, they were retooling for another run while they could with the best roster in football. Now, with what's happened in the offseason, they're going to come back with a roster with some stars. Warner, Bosa, you're going to have Trent Williams if he's healthy, Christian, Brock, you got guys. So it's not like the cupboard's not bare. So we should not overreact, but we got to be honest. We're no longer with the best roster in football and retooling. We're in a developmental stage. Don't say rebuilding because we're in a developmental stage where if we go to the Super Bowl this season, we're going to be wearing the jersey of somebody that is not on the team right now, whether it's a rookie, whether it's somebody that shows up out of nowhere, and somebody's going to have to come in and help right away in a very, very significant way, if not multiple people that need to come in and significantly help. So with that in mind, sitting in April and March, you say to yourself that we're just in a different place. We're in a developmental place. We're not in a retooling place or small adjustments.
Yeah.
And that puts a lot of pressure on John Lynch. That puts a lot of pressure on ownership because they have done everything and more that you can do to give the team what they need to go win championships and didn't get done. And so now as they sit there, they have to, so everyone's in a transition period and that job's going to change. John's job's changing. It's not retooling, it's developmental. Kyle's job's changing. It's not, it's because there's going to be people that are brand new. He's going to have to figure out how to get them ready to play right away. And so it's going to be a tax on the system at whole, and it's going to test their emotional and spiritual and physical athleticism to see how good they are, because it's harder. The job of winning Super Bowls has gotten harder, if not significantly harder. And that doesn't mean you can't do it. That's just where we are.
Oh, bro, that backyard.
I know, huh?
God, that is
amazing.
amazing.
Didn't pay attention to what he's saying.
I know. It looked like a painted background. Did you ever see his gardener? His gardener's got to be making $500,000. That's a lot of work.
Hey, he's probably there every day.
Exactly.
He's like the people that paint the Golden Gate Bridge. You get to one end and then you just start. You start all over again.
All right,
And then they
I know
get
we
done
want to
with
talk
the-
about his. I know we want to talk about his content, but I can't get over the backyard. Anyway,
I know,
sorry.
backyard's
I just-
no,
that's
I mean,
that's
I think he was
amazing, dude.
saying similar things to what we were saying. It's going to be different. It's not the best roster in football. For one, I'm probably more optimistic than most. I feel like this team's going to have a shot to get back to the Super Bowl next year. They're not going to be one of the favorites. The reason I say that is because I think they're going to make the playoffs next year. I think they got an easy schedule next
Yeah.
year. I think they're going to be hungry next year. They're going to be motivated and they're going to be rested. They didn't have to play the extra month that they've been playing the last few years. So I think they're going to have a good shot to get to the playoffs. And once you get to the playoffs, you never know. But yeah, it's going to be tough. And look, that's pure speculation on my part, just because I have no idea who they've drafted and I have no idea how they're going to fit in. I still don't know what free agency looks like at the end of free agency, which is why I always love people freaking out. I'm like, this isn't even over yet. Like, you're freaking out 2 days. Like, good Lord. Like, how about letting them construct the team first before you completely freak out? You never know if a trade's coming. You never know who's out there they might sign. You never know who they're going to draft. So Steve is right, though. And the one thing he's wrong about, though, is I'm not going to be wearing a jersey of any of those guys. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're on the team right now or not. I'm not wearing a jersey with a name on it. Ain't happening. Even if it's my name, I'm not wearing it. Period.
Will you take that Tolbert out ever? You're not going to ever wear Tolbert 28?
Hell no.
Uh.
What am I going to go to the mall and
Yeah.
like walk around with my shirt on? Like, oh, hey, look at me. I got a Niner. Yeah, that's my name. That's my name.
Plus,
right
it's your
there.
name on the back and people know your name. I know I've
Hey,
done
look
that.
at me.
Like a guy's got, especially like I saw a guy one time at a
Tucked
Giants
into
game.
a pair of jeans.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, look at me. Tom Tolbert.
Pair of jeans.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
I saw a guy at a Giants game. It's one thing to have like Tolbert 28. Like, I don't know who the best Niner is to wear 28. Like Tom Holmoe wore 28, I think. But like,
I don't know.
but
I don't know any 28s.
But there was a dude at a Giants game one time who took a Willie Mays 24 and put his name on the back. It was like, dude, first of all, you can't do that with like, that's stupid. But you took Willie Mays jersey and you put your name. I can't remember what the guy's name was, but I had about 18 beers. And let's just say the guy's name was, Johnson or something. Like, hey, it's Willie Mays Johnson. Like the whole game, I was yelling at this guy. It's like, God,
It's like Willie Mays Aiken.
Exactly.
Willie Mays Aiken
like,
for the Royals.
What are you doing? It was crazy. But what Steve said there, I think is really accurate. He had said it a couple of weeks ago. But let me just go on the premise that you said, because it's kind of what I wrote about when I was talking about this morning too, because everyone wants to freak out and you only get clicks if you're negative. And that's kind of how our media works. But if people would just hang on for 1 second, offensively, they will score points. I'm sorry. Aaron Banks and Jalen Moore and Kyle Juszczyk were not exactly at the top of the list as far as why they scored points. So McCaffrey comes back. Mason gets a second round tender. He's not going anywhere. Garendo, they got a good backfield. Ayuk will come back at some point. I don't think they're going to trade him because it's $18 million. They do. Kittle's getting extended. Trent Williams is still around. So all of a sudden, okay, they're going to score points. That's that side of the ball. They can't be as bad as they were on special teams. So let's say they're better. And then let's go to the defense. Okay, the defense right now, atrocious. In the front seven, the only two guys who are even halfway decent are Bosa and Warner. I get it. But you got a whole draft to deal with that. And I got to give John and Kyle the benefit of the doubt because they've done it before. So let's just say that for a second. Second, in the secondary, Ward was terrible. Renardo Green was actually their best corner, rated-wise. The other corner is Lenore, like that guy. Mustafa takes over for Hufanga, who missed most of the season anyway. And I don't love J.R. Brown at free safety. They need a new free safety. But to your point, the offensive and defensive lines need massive help. I'll give you that. But Salah's back defensively. He can do a little bit of magic, and they're going to score points. So I'm not as down on everybody else because a lot of quantity left the building and a lot of names left the building, but not a lot of quality. Dre Greenlaw, I will give people, but Ward wasn't the same. Hufanga was hurt again. Morse, please. Banks, please. I'm not as down on everybody. Plus, if this was, say, the Giants we were talking about, they don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. But the Niners are more like the Warriors. Joe Lacob says, I'm not going to pay for a 10th place play-in team, but if Jimmy Butler comes available, I'll go back to spending some money. And I think Jed's the same way. If you show me, that you can draft, and that's why Detroit and Philly are where they are, is not through free agency, even though, Barkley was good, Bond was good. But Philly drafted, Detroit drafted, the Rams drafted. They got to have like an 86 Niners kind of a draft, or an 11 draft, or a 9 or an 81 draft, or they need to have an amazing draft. But they know where they got to go, offensive and defensive lines. That's what they have to do.
All right, we have one more before we get on out of here. One more clip I wanted to play for you and get your thoughts on. Again, I'm not sure exactly what it is. What do we got there? What do we got here? How much are they going to lose with? I mean, they've lost a number of players now, but specifically with Greenlaw and Debo, it seemed like they were. I don't want to say they were the physicality, but I always mention Greenlaw, Debo, and Kittle is like kind of the soul of the team. How hard they played, how physical they were, how they got after it. And Debo's production was waned last year. Greenlaw's been injured now. Who knows what his health will be? But I'm wondering, on-field production aside, how much they lose, like just that kind of, I don't want soul of the team sounds like too much, but that physicality, the way they played, the way they got after it, how much does that affect a team?
We always talk about the locker room, right? Great locker room self-police. You've heard me say that for 20 years. And they self-police because of the leadership that's in there, the collective of guys that everyone trusts, that the alphas in there that are not going to take accountability, like all those guys. And they've had that for the team in 19, the team in 20 fell off, but it was like they've had essentially that group of guys in the locker room for now 5 or 6, 7 years. Now many of them are gone, and you're talking about the physicality. I mean, how about Trent and Debo coming out the locker room with the boom box, and basically just kind of strutting their way out to just punch you in the face, and no one could do anything about it. Like, remember, I was like, those years were there where it's like, it's coming out of the tunnel, it's banging, baby, and you can do nothing about it. That was that. I mean, those are salad days, man. Those are amazing. So as you asked me about Debo being gone, Juice being gone, Dre being gone, like it's the stuff that makes it all work. Doesn't mean it can't be replaced, but it needs to be replaced, and there's a risk to that. And you talk about the physicality of it. No one could tackle Debo. I mean, how many times? I mean, you watch Debo run the ball. It's like, tackle the guy. No one can take him down. Dre was that guy that just. You knew was just, but he could run and he could get around and he was a thumper, not just within 5 yards. Yeah. He was a thumper sideline to sideline, which was made him special. So these special personalities in some ways are irreplaceable, but we've got to find a way to do that. And so we're going to ask the draft to come up with people that by, Halloween, when your lights are shining bright, you're gonna have to show me where you put your lights up. Beautiful, shining, flashing purple and orange lights that are so appealing. And green. That day is when. Why do you say that with such sarcasm? Oh, because it's such a beautiful thing. It's like, can you imagine your house flashing in orange and purple and and green? To me, when I think about green, when I think about peace and prosperity, I think orange and purple and black and green all mixed together and just. Like flashing. Halloween's about death. It's not about prosperity, okay? I mean, stop getting it twisted when you get to your holidays, okay? All right, but on that day, Tom, let's not get distracted. On that day, exactly, you're going to say to yourself, "Oh my gosh, the draft that the 49ers had in April was transformative," and you'll list the guys like this guy and that guy and what they're doing in the team, and now it elevated. Fred, it elevated Brock, it elevated George. Like these guys that we can count on need all of that. So that's what's going to happen. But that's where I'd say 15 teams are. When we were the best roster in football, there was one team there. Now we're in a mix with, the top half of the league, I would call it. And that's it's not that it can't be done. It's just harder.
It always works its way back to Halloween lights somehow.
Dude, how long have you guys had that debate? Like the Halloween light is so amazing.
At least 20 years.
At least. And you guys, you'll intertwine it in, and then you guys have talked about it so long, like you guys can go, and then get back right on the freeway.
Yeah,
Like,
oh, yeah. It's
it's like
easy.
it's intertwined within the conversation, and you guys will never agree on the Halloween lights, but it's still one of those things where it's like, oh, it's amazing.
It's like when you
it's so amazing.
It's like when you're arguing with your significant other, and then at the very end of the argument, you just go, "So what are we doing for dinner tonight? You're gonna go you want Mexican?
Hey.
Okay, that's fine." You just like get right back on the you get right back on the freeway. You
Right,
get
it's
off
like
the freeway,
nothing.
then you're
Yeah,
right back
nothing.
on the freeway. But
Yeah.
no, I think we both touched on that. And again, for those that are interested in the full interview, that'll be tomorrow. We'll be dropping that. I do have one more thing for you here.
Plus, I got to play something for you too. I got to play something
Okay.
Steve related for you. But go ahead.
Okay,
go
well,
ahead,
let me give you this, because this I didn't even know this was coming. So this is a this one's special. Go ahead. Yep. Na na na.
The hell, bro?
Na na na.
Oh, okay. This is it right here.
Oh, you're gonna play it?
Yeah. So can I set this up just really quick?
Yeah, please. Well, you're a part of it.
So
Look at the
here's the deal.
hair.
I know. So get
Bro,
this.
you had some sweet hair back then.
So get this. See that tape right there in the
What
middle?
happened?
I got it right here. See that?
Yeah.
So here's the tape. And I don't know if I can bring this close enough, but the other
Yeah,
day
I
I'm
can
going,
see it.
okay, so I'm going through a box, right? And
Yeah.
I was the sideline reporter for the Utah Jazz radio network. There it is right there. So there
Okay.
it says 6-5 NBA finals on it. All right. And it's obviously a cassette tape, which most of our audience doesn't even know what the hell that is. So I'm going through an old box of stuff and I see it says 6-5 NBA finals. And I'm like, what the hell? And I remembered I kept a tape of an interview I did with Steve Young. This is June 5th, 1998. It's game 2
Wow.
before Bulls and Jazz. So this is the Last Dance series between.
Okay.
I was the in-game sideline reporter for the Utah Jazz radio network. And so what they had me do is I had a live mic and I would run around before the game. And you'll hear here, I don't know how long we're going to play here, but so this is David Locke, who's the play-by-play voice of the Jazz now, but he was the pregame host. And it's Tom Nasalki, former head coach in the NBA, who's dead now. And there's a lot of dead people, by the way, because this is 27 years ago. But anyway, so Jack Nicholson had already turned me down on this day. Woody Harrelson said, I don't want to talk to you. And so then we see Steve, and it's in Salt Lake City. So like Steve is the holy grail, right?
Yes.
He's still playing quarterback for the Niners. He's holy grail. And so so these guys can yell at me in my ear and I can talk back to them. I'm in queue. They can't hear me on the air. And so I'm getting yelled at by the program director or the guy from the Jazz going, get Steve Young. You've got to get Steve Young. And so you know how the finals works. There's all these people on the court and you can't even work out. Like you can't even shoot shots. There's there's ESPN's on the floor, international media's on the floor. And you're going to laugh at the beginning of this because when they come back from break, David Locke, the play-by-play voice now, the Jazz and the pregame host in this segment says, and there's Steve Kerr shooting free throws on one end of the court. Like this is how long ago this damn thing is. But the point is that there's 1 million people on the court. And I'm trying to get Steve, and Steve is trying to ditch me the whole time. Like I'm going to take a picture. He's running here, and I'm just darting between people because I got to keep this interview going. So anyway, that's kind of the backdrop of this whole thing.
Okay.
So this is only like a couple of minutes.
Let's do.
Side is on 1320 KFAN. The Jazz are getting ready for the Bulls. Let's go back to the Delta Center for the inside of the coach Tom Nasalki with David Locke on 1320 KFAN.
Steve Kerr's launching shots from 3. Chris Morris practicing free throws on the other end as we come to you live from the Delta Center. David Locke, along with the coach Tom Nasalki. KFAN time 6:23. Steve Young finishing up some stuff with can't figure out who he's with, but he's with somebody, and then he'll be coming over to John Lund here in just a moment. So we'll have that conversation upcoming. Let's go to John Lund, who's standing by with the quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers and is also the former BYU great. Steve Young is with our John Lund here courtside at the Delta Center.
Steve, kind of nice to maybe be watching the game tonight and not having to be playing in it. You're used to these situations.
I don't know which one's worse, sitting at home and watching it or being right there, because it's, I'm nervous for the guys. I want to see one. I feel like I'm watching my brother play football. I'm way more nervous to watch than play. And so I think that's why fans struggle so much, because we have nothing to do with it. So we just have to watch and be nervous.
You know the pressure that these guys are under, Steve. What are they feeling right now before a big game like this in a finals type situation?
They're used to it. It's not as bad as you would think. I got to take a picture. You talk for a second.
Yeah, well, hang on. Guys, Steve Young's got to take a quick picture. He's ever popular, as you can probably tell. Everybody's trying to get on to Steve Young. He'll be back with us in just 1 second. Well, it's okay. I got to hit everybody.
You're trying to get a piece of him also.
Jack Nicholson's waiting to talk with you, John.
What's that?
Jack Nicholson's up here waiting to talk.
I know.
with
I'm
you.
going to get Jack too. He turned me down, but he doesn't know what I'm about.
He doesn't know
I'm persistent.
He doesn't know the essence of John Lund.
I'm very persistent, to say the least.
I'll tell you one thing about what Steve said that was really true.
Can I just catch you really quick again?
Yeah, we'll get back to that.
No problem. Steve Young is back. And Steve, how tough is it to be the target constantly of everybody else? I mean, you used to that
Good
with the
question.
49ers. The Bulls are
very
that
good question.
same thing. How tough is that?
Well, you start to carry yourself to be. That's the way you live. That's who you are. You don't think of it as, oh, it's much harder, much more difficult. You say to yourself, there's nothing greater than be that team that people point to, that get up for, that whenever you go into some town, you know that they're not going to overlook the 49ers nor the Bulls. And so you start to live that life. It's like being on a highway and you driving 100 miles an hour. Pretty soon 100 miles an hour seems normal, And so that's certainly, I think, the way the Bulls feel. I think they're unfazed by anything. It's just a matter of getting their emotion up and playing top line basketball. And I think the Jazz are.
All right.
Why did it sound like you guys? Why did it sound like you guys were like informants for the mafia?
First of all, I went back and listened. It was like, I'm trying to do radio voice, go like, hello. But this goes on for like 5 or 6 minutes, and he's really, really good. But the thing that was so funny about it was he's trying to ditch me the whole time. So I'm following him around this court, and there's tons of media, and I'm cutting through like Stuart Scott of ESPN, and Steve's trying to glad hand all these people. And the last thing Steve wants to do, he's in Utah. Like he wants to see all these people. And here's this, Nat following around with a microphone. And Steve keeps giving me this dirty look like, are we done? Are we done? Are we done? So anyway, but I got about 5 minutes out of him. It was hilarious. But he wanted nothing to do with me.
I saw that.
Get
Let's
away
see
from
if Lou's ready to eat. Ogden, go ahead and let Lou in. Let's see where
Oh
Lou
my
goes.
God. She's going to maul you. She's going to maul you.
No, she's mauling. Oh, she's gonna maul Ogden first. Oh, yeah, she's jumping up on Ogden and just figuring out what's going. There she is. See it? What?
She's pissed.
What time
She
is
is
it? It's
so
1:50.
Yeah,
Lulu, come here.
150, about
Come here.
48.
Come here.
Oh, she's pissed.
Come here.
Oh my God.
We're gonna eat pretty soon.
Actually, she
doesn't
was
care
actually
right
pretty calm.
now it's
She was
like I
actually
don't
pretty
care.
calm.
Max, Daniel, I don't care. Feed me. I don't give a shit who feeds me. Somebody feed me. Like she doesn't even care. Like she's not even coming to me. She's just like, are you human? Do you have hands? Can you put
Give me
food
some
in my
food.
bowl?
By the way,
Awesome.
hey,
She's like,
are you on tomorrow? Are you on tomorrow?
No,
or
well,
not?
we're doing Steve Young tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Real quick
Steve
before
Young will
we
be
get out
on.
of here.
Steve
Real
Young
quick.
will be on tomorrow.
It looks like Kuminga's going to come back. What do you think? Just real quick.
Yep.
People want to know. What do you
You know
think?
what? It's always look. It's interesting. Luke, I know you're excited. Kuminga's coming back. I know.
Here's some food.
She's a massive Kuminga fan. She loves the athleticism and
But he's gonna He's gonna come on. Like he's playing for
and
like
the
he's coming off the
wingspan.
bench, all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, because
yeah. Steve's not a guy that's gonna mess
Right.
with a winning formula,
Yeah,
but
they're winning.
that's the thing. Like you can't come back and just think you're gonna be the guy you were when you left because the team's different. Butler's here now, the team's
Right.
winning, and you have to say, okay, where do I fit? What do they need from me? How can I help this team continue rolling? Because it is an adjustment period. There are going to be some guys that were getting minutes that aren't getting minutes now. There are going to be guys that were getting minutes that'll get fewer minutes now. The rotations will be a little off, but I think ultimately Steve will have the same starters, same closers. You could mess around with it, but I was half kidding saying Kuminga was probably ready 2.5 weeks ago. They kept telling him, just give it a little more time.
Exactly.
Give it a little more
winning.
time.
Stay
And not
outta
because
here.
they don't trust him, they don't want him on the team. It's just when things are going great, you just like to keep things the same. You don't like changes when things are going great because no matter how good the player is, and Kuminga's had a good year this year, it still's different, right? Everyone's got to adjust to him and he's got to adjust to them. And mostly it's about him looking at the team, the way they're playing. And hopefully he was having a much better year than Podziemski before Podziemski was injured. It did Brandon a world of good to sit out and watch because it slowed the game down
Kuminga also had a chance to sit and watch for a long period of time. And I'm hoping that will kind of slow his game down. And he's a guy for me, very good. He can be a very good on the ball defender, right? Off the ball, not as good. He's got to work on that. But where he's at his best is when he gets the ball and gets downhill. I don't want to see him taking above the break 3-pointers with like more than 10 seconds on the shot clock. Corner threes, let it rip. Guy drives, kicks it to you. You're open in the corner. Let that thing go. But other than that, get yourself downhill. Get on the glass. Run the court. I mean, this guy's an amazing athlete. NBA is full of great athletes. Very rarely is anybody out athlete him on the court. Like, that's how good he is. Like, that's how athletic he is. But, you got to use it in the right way. You want to shoot threes? They got guys that can shoot threes. They're fine shooting threes. Like, what they need is more guys. Like, hopefully he looked at Butler's game and said, you know what?
That's it.
I could do that. I could get downhill. I could draw fouls because Kuminga was pretty good at drawing fouls as well and still can be. But that's what I'm hoping watching, kind of like, oh, you don't have to be a 3-point shooter. Not everybody has to be that guy, and just kind of learn from watching Jimmy and see how Jimmy goes about his business. And we'll see. I'm excited to see him come back and see kind of how it all fits in, and hopefully everybody can stay healthy and then just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, because with him coming off the bench, my thought is that hopefully an agent doesn't get in his ear because he's coming back and he wants to get that contract. If you win, everybody's going to think you're great, and you have that residual stench on you of winning. Yep. So just come back, play your role. You'll be fine. Watch Jimmy Butler's game. Be that. Don't sit on the perimeter and jack threes. Get to the rim. Get to the free throw line. Play. Defend. Use your athleticism. Because right now, a long time to go, but they're kind of on the wrong side of the bracket. Like, they're on the Lakers Nuggets. I'd love to see them on the younger side of the bracket. But if they let's say they have to play the Lakers, Jonathan Kuminga's, there's defensive assignments that he is going to need to help on. Let's say for some reason they win that, they go to Denver, there's going to be other guys. So they're going to need Kuminga. He's just got to accept the role. And I hope his agent isn't in his ear going, hey, you got to come back and score 20 a game. You got to max your contract out. You got to go be Jimmy Butler. That's what I saw the same thing you saw. I'm like, be Jimmy Butler, dude. Hey, come on.
If you win, people will pay you.
Right.
They'll absolutely pay you. So no worries there. When are you going to be on today?
I'm already done. I'm usually on at about 8 in the morning. That's the time you like to come on. Yeah, I go like 8 to 10 in the morning. I know you want to come on that early in the morning, but we haven't done it yet. But yeah, I know. You're a big morning guy.
You call me that early in the morning, I'll drive over to your house and punch you in the face. That's what I'll do. You better not call me that.
Dude, if I'm having you on, we're gonna pre-tape it. We're gonna pre-tape it at like at night. Like, that's I would never call you in the morning. You kidding me? There's no
Damn
way.
Right we are.
But you did the morning show one time on Cambria, right? One time.
Yep, that was it.
One time
That's
on
it.
Cambria.
Quit.
That's it.
One and done.
Now.
That was.
I just remember you were pissed off when you had to do what did they call those things? The Tolbert minute or whatever the hell they called it. And like
for the playoffs.
Yeah, and they put you on in the morning.
Yeah, I hated
that. Whatever that was.
Tolbert's takes.
Yeah, Tolbert's takes. That's what it was. Tolbert's takes. And then what I really enjoyed doing with you most over there though was when we would do the thrown together Warriors pregame shows, and like they were so good. You was like, okay, it's time for Top Tolbert's keys to the game, and you were like, E. coli that the other. Like,
I just
they won like 73 games, and you're like, I don't know, as long as the Warriors don't get like E. coli, we'd have to come up with a new thing.
As long as they don't get fast acting Ebola, they should be okay. Well, you know why people do keys to the game?
Yeah, right. We had to do that.
Sponsored.
Yeah, that's exactly
it. Sponsored. Like, that's why people do keys to the game. They just want to get the sponsor in there. Sponsor, it doesn't care if you say keys to the game. Stay away from an exploding rectum. Like, it doesn't matter. It's just like, did you get the sponsor in there?
Yeah.
Sponsored by Bengay. Like, okay, cool. We're in there. Good. And then afterwards, I go, did I say exploding rectum? That doesn't really go with our core philosophies here at Bengay. So anyway, so tomorrow, 8 a.m.?
Yeah, tomorrow at 8 a.m. I'll be back. What is it, Thursday tomorrow? Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually, I put some booze in my coffee and we're good to go.
Nice.
Works out fine.
Well, have a good day, brother.
Yeah, you too, man. It's good to talk to you.
Enjoy.
I know you got to feed the dog.
Yeah, I gotta go feed her. She's calmed down a little bit, but it's about ready to start up again.
Yeah, what do we got? 155?
She's up. Yeah, and she's not. Look, I'd hate for her to look at you and think negatively of you just because you were the one that caused me to not be able to feed her. And
I think she's been pretty patient, to be honest with you.
She's been better. She's laying down right next to me.
By the way,
it'll be good.
the backyard stuff is great. I mean, I know that you're going to play the Steve stuff tomorrow on the show.
Yep.
Bay Area Sports Collective, by the way, check us all out. But the Ratto stuff was great in the backyard. By the end of the time that you had with Ratto, his beard like had burned off and his face was red. It was amazing. And the Bill Martin thing was great. And so you got to.
No, we're gonna keep doing. We get as many people as we can in the
Backyard
backyard.
stuff is money.
It'll be
Yeah,
good. It'll be
good.
better now that the daylight savings time, and hopefully in a couple of weeks when the rain stops, it'll be
Right.
a little warmer because
Yeah.
we don't get a ton of sun except for Ratto on that side of the house.
It was amazing. By the end, by the end of the show,
No, it's like somebody
had
it's like somebody was sitting on the roof with a giant what do they call those things? A magnifying glass.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they were focusing it on Ratto, like he was an ant. They were just trying to burn him. We kept offering him like, hey, you want a hat? You want
So
sunglasses?
funny.
You want something?
Yeah.
I mean,
Nothing.
he didn't take it. He just didn't take it.
Oh, it was.
All right,
so
brother. Have a
amazing.
good show tomorrow.
All right, man.
Enjoy the
Thanks,
rest
dude.
of the day, and appreciate you, man.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Tommy.
All right, John. Take it
Later,
easy,
man.
man. John will be on with you every day. John Lund Unleashed. Again, you can find that YouTube. You can find it. I mean, he has it all up. Bay Area Sports Collective. I told you about that earlier. BayAreaSportsCollective.com is where you'll find my show, John Lund's show, and Paulie McCaffrey's show. So I guess that's it. I think we covered a lot of topics today. And we got I think anytime you do a show and you wedge Manson in there, Charlie Manson, like, I mean, that's just like anything else is going to be a long ways away from Charles Manson. So it's like you covered a lot of ground when you just kind of go through. Not only do we hit Charles Manson, we hit Winnie the Pooh too. Winnie the Pooh, Charles Manson. Go figure. I mean, I don't know. Can't get much better than that, can it? I don't think so. All right, so tomorrow will be Steve Young. I think we're going to put it out around noon or so.
Earlier.
Oh, earlier. Okay, Ogden says earlier. So
In the morning.
in the morning. So the morning could be any day. It'll be before noon. So fun interview. I mean, obviously we talk NFL, we talk Niners, and we get into a bunch of goofy stuff. The last 15 minutes, you guys, if you don't laugh at that, then you're dead inside, because he was hilarious. He had some fantastic stories about him growing up back in Connecticut. So that will be tomorrow, and then Friday I'll be back and doing similar, maybe a little bit shorter show. We'll kind of recap the NFL free agency with Tim Kawakami, who's supposed to join us on Friday, and then whatever else pops up. There's always something that pops up in the world of sports. Maybe we'll talk corn dogs too. I don't know. I just like corn dogs, and I figure I have to wedge those in at some point. So everybody have a great day. Enjoy, stay safe out there, and I will see you Friday. Nighty night. Look at her.